Oh, landmines and jellyfish. Welcome back to Knives, I guess, and I swear to God, if you have a skeleton inside you, I'm taking a dump in the backseat of your car. Do you understand? But this week I'm going to be carrying the 2024 holiday season Ozark Trail Access Lock. And by some odd miracle, if you haven't seen one of these yet, Ozark Trail does their access locks every year now for $5, and this is the one they did this year. Dramatic improvement over last year's offerings. And of course, I sinned to get this one. I committed the cardinal sin of the Ozark Trail $5 access lock, and I ordered one off eBay because I needed to make sure I had one so I could do these videos for you. Now, I did find them in the wild and bought some at retail, so I have atoned for my sins as much as one can. But let's take a look at what we got. And first things first, and most importantly, the pocket clip is tip up, which is the Lord's carry. We have got white polypropylene scales with a cool pattern on them. I like that pattern. We got an access lock and we got thumb studs, so let's flick the stud. And we got a 3-inch blade in stainless steel. So, I will say right now, I did the video when I first got this home and did my initial impression right out of the box, and I was mistaken about something. I thought I was wrong, but I was mistaken. And what had happened was, a while back, and it might have been about this time last year or a bit later on, whenever I looked at last year's offerings, I said, the next thing they're going to do with these that everyone freaks out over is it's going to be on bearings. And of course, they came out with the orange dropout right here. They came out with this one in D2, and it was on bearings. So I figured, all right, we got that covered. And I got this out of the box, and the action was quite stiff. So I figured, you know what? It's not on bearings. It's on washers again. Like the last couple of years, it's all right. But I flicked this thing open and closed for a few minutes and messed with it. And now the action is looser than a woman of ill repute. So I was right. They put them on bearings. And that is kind of mind-blowing. For $5 American, you can get an access lock, you can get it on bearings, you can get something that doesn't look like raw garbage, it doesn't look like flea market trash, like you can get something that is fairly decent. Now, there is another Ozark Trail knife set this year, and on Walmart's website, it lists it as 3CR13 steel. Pretty sure that's what this is going to be. It's not identified, it just says stainless, so Cardboard Slayer is going to give us at least enough information to field a solid, honorable guess. So I'm going to carry it this week, and then at the end of the week on my next live stream, we're going to be doing Cardboard Slayer to see how it does. But, you know I like to show you what I'm carrying for the week before I carry it, and that's what we got here is the Ozark Trail Access Lock. I haven't thought of a clever name for it yet, nobody else has either, but we're going to figure something out for it. I'm not sure what, but something. And of course, with this having the white scales on it, that's going to be fun for guys that mod these things because I know guys have been dyeing these things black. I believe this is also the same polypropylene that they're using for this. I would almost bet money on it, and guys have been dyeing that, so this may be some options for guys to start dyeing stuff. Now, I do want to play with that. I've just got to figure out how to take an access lock apart and put it back together. I've had access locks apart, but they've been partially apart. They've never been completely disassembled because I wasn't sure exactly how to go about doing that. I haven't done it before. That'll be new to me. But, this thing has got some stuff in common with the bug out that the other ones haven't had. These are not full steel liners. The liner stops right here, and then the rest is plastic. It is reinforced plastic the way it's molded. You got a square pattern in here for reinforcement that reduces weight and stops some of the flex, and it's nowhere near as flexible as I've seen guys complain about the bug out being. But you can flex it if you squeeze it hard enough. And, of course, I just got done with the live stream and my hands are tired, so my coordination's not what it should be. However, I like everything about this. Now, I know a lot of guys have been looking at it, and they're like, oh, the blade steel's not identified. I don't like it. But it is absolutely mind-blowing that you can get this. It's on bearings. The scales are nice. Like everything's put together well. I don't have any quality control issues. The blade is drifting ever so slightly this way. Like the blade is not 100% perfectly centered. Focus. But the blade is not perfectly centered. There's a very slight drift to this side. But, everything works smoothly. The lock feels good. Like, this thing feels really good. And, there's not, maybe 2 years ago, something like this, even with just 3CR13, would have been like $35-40. Like, no question about it. It is a hell of a time to be a knife guy. Just the fact that this exists is mind-blowing. And again, just like the dropout in D2, I really, really hope this starts, setting some stuff in motion where we start getting more stuff like this in a lower price range, because someone at some point is going to do something like this in 8CR13 for like 15 bucks, and it's going to be amazing. 8CR13 is quite underrated. It's a solid steel. It'll get you where you want to go, but it keeps the price of the knife down. If you're in a hard use environment and you're really reefing on them, yeah, 8CR is not going to do. If you're an average home gamer, concrete cowboy, using it to open packages and break down the occasional box, 8CR13 is fine. 3CR is going to be good too, but it's just 8CR should be the minimum for most things. But this is a $5 knife, and it is a novelty. It's a bit of a toy, but man, what a good thing for $5. So for the week, I expect this thing to carry really well. All right, you got a nice flat design. Everything is shaped pretty nicely. The ergos should be pretty good. It should do a good job slicing up some cardboard. It should be pretty decent at breaking down the plastic off of pallets, all that it normally does. The pocket clip may or may not be as good as the last one. The dingus end right here isn't raised super far. Focus. It isn't raised super far, but it should be far enough. There's a ton of clearance right here. Some guys aren't going to like that. Guys like me aren't going to care that much about it. It's not going to be that big of a deal. I will say the pocket clip is not the strongest, so, it wouldn't take much for this to get caught on something and bend out of shape, and you'd have to get some pliers and squish it back. But, again, that's not the end of the world. Like, I've had far worse pocket knives on knives that cost a lot more. Like, knives, and again, this is kind of an objective thing, but for knives that I've spent, like, 7 times as much, had worse pocket clips than this by a lot. Let's get the clip out. Let's check out the factory edge real quick and see how that's doing. Get that in here before we start carrying it. Because, again, I'm looking forward to using this thing and seeing how it does day to day. It should do just fine. I don't see any major problems coming up, unless, the lock breaks or something like that. But I've been fidgeting with it a lot and enjoying how nice the action is on it. I like the tension. I've been enjoying how nice it feels fidgeting with it. I really have. So I figure if there would be lock stick or anything like that, I would have already seen it. But let's get a look at this edge. Let's check it out. So 222. That is a very, very good solid working edge. That is a good edge. It's going to work fine. It's going to do what I need it to, no problem. Let's try to cut a piece of paper with it. Yeah, it's cutting it. I've been kind of struggling to cut paper for the last couple of weeks here. It's just not been my friend. There we are. Tonight's live stream knife. Words are hard. This is somehow your fault. But tonight's live stream knife, it sharpened up well. I finally got a good edge on something. I am in so much better of a mood about that than I have been. But, yeah, I don't see any major issues coming out of this at all. I don't see anything. If I do, I'll be thoroughly shocked. And for Cardboard Slayer, I am going to guess it's going to run about an hour and a half the way 3CR does, and then the edge is going to start to give out. I'd be amazed to see it do worse than that. The blade looks very, very similar to the Dropout. They're not quite identical, but they're really close. The grind is also very similar, so we may get some extra cut time out of this before it goes. But yeah, I don't foresee any major problems. But, like I said, I love showing you guys what I'm going to carry and what I expect to have happen, and I'll come back to you in a week and let you know how it did. But all that being said, thanks for looking at my crap. Subscribers, you guys are awesome. Y'all keep coming in. I appreciate you so much. If you haven't subscribed, please do. We have a giveaway for 3K coming up very soon here, as soon as I get the knives in. We got our live streams, regular videos, plenty of activities for you. Comments and let some feedback. Let me know what you think about this thing. Let me have it if you don't like this thing or don't like what you're looking at. Yeah, I know everybody's opinion is going to be kind of different on it. I'm not the only voice here. But all that being said, y'all have a nice day.